Southern Fried Gameroom Expo wants to, of course, thank all their sponsors. Hopping a little bit. Voice of Geeks Network, I will go ahead and mention them. Also want to mention that we will open things up as usual, per usual. We'll open things up at the end of the discussion here for questions. So think away about those questions that you're going to have. And we will also be doing he will be doing a meet and greet directly afterwards. So at that, everybody please help me welcome Roger Sharpe.
Thank you.
So Roger, why don't we go ahead? I know I was at your panel yesterday, which was fantastic.
I know I probably ran a little bit long.
That's okay. Do that here too. I appreciate it. But I want to try to go, some of the things I want to kind of talk a little bit about different areas that you covered yesterday, and hopefully we don't have too much overlap as far as that goes.
Okay.
But if you could, oops, I'm sorry. It's hot mic. But if you could you just, for anybody in here that might not be 100% familiar with you, which I'm sure they all are anyways, could you just tell us just a little bit, just kind of a brief summary of who you are?
I'm the father of Josh and Zach Sharpe. I think that's the only introduction I need. Other than that, I guess I think of myself as a historical footnote. But been around pinball for a long time. The part that I'll share, and it's interesting that we can get into the discussion, but when you ask the question about, I guess, defining or describing who I am and all the rest of it, is that I guess over a period of time, as any of us get older, we wind up thinking about things in different contexts. And really recently, within the past couple of years, the thing that has struck me, and it impacts all of you, just by circumstance, whether it's fate, destiny, or anything else. I've talked in the past about basically discovering pinball when I went to college in Wisconsin. Because in Chicago, where I grew up, pinball was illegal. And we don't have to go into the court case and all the other stuff, but I thought about it in the context that if I'd grown up any other place, let's say I'd grown up in Madison, Wisconsin, where I went to school, and pinball was around, I never would have done what I've done. There would never have been a pinball book. I probably would have just taken it for granted. The fact that it was outlawed in New York wouldn't have bothered me or mattered to me at all. So all of those events have transpired based on the simple fact of happen chance, the fact that I happened to grow up where I grew up, the fact that I happened to have discovered and found a love for pinball the way that I did, but all of these events, tournaments, you name it, probably wouldn't be around. So I'll take whatever credit and or blame for that. But again, over the passage of time, because I know that Preston asked yesterday, what's your legacy, or what are the things that you think, most important in your life? And at the time, I never really gave too much thought as to what I was doing and what the eventual outcome was and the influence that it has had, over the subsequent years. So I just wanted to share that, because I think for any of us, whatever avenue we take in our lives, sometimes we're able to take advantage of them. Sometimes we just find ourselves in situations, good or bad, just by a matter of whatever. So mine was just by a matter of, again, growing up where I did and eventually discovering pinball the way that I did. So that's my introduction, for whatever it's worth.
That's a great introduction.
I haven't shared that ever before, but again, it's something that I've been thinking a lot about as I kind of expose myself to different events and different topics and different people asking questions.
Well, feel free to share anything like that at any time here. You can totally even interrupt me. That was fantastic. Thank you.
Sure.
So, in the expo this year, before we even get to any questions or anything like that, have you seen anything that that just kind of has blown your mind? Any machines that you're like, that looks amazing, or anything? I'll tell you this too, that since your panel yesterday as well, and I've seen your name on pinball machines before as a special thanks to and so on, but I've seen about 3 or 4 of them that I've noticed today already. There it is. There it is. There it is. So,
Yeah.
anything that just blows your mind that you've seen at the expo this year, or anything that?
I don't know if it's anything that really blows my mind per se, and maybe it's more of a jaded approach to things. How many of you own pinball machines? My God. How many of you are operators? Okay. I think that it's interesting to see what the new culture is with boutiques, if you will, and this whole outpouring of, independence, whether it's Charlie or anyone else out on the scene. Now with American Pinball being on the floor with something that looks to be somewhat in a state of getting closer to completion. Total Annihilation is kind of an interesting concept. It's a throwback. If you haven't played it, it's a whitewood. It's a single level. It's interesting. I mean, there's some geometric issues that I had, some rule sets, but I tend to look at things, and I play games for the first time, and it was the same with Houdini. I look at it from the standpoint of what is the geometry? What are the shots? In some ways, the rules are immaterial to me. So much of it is where's the flow? It's probably not a direct answer to your question. There wasn't anything that really kind of stood out. And it was like, oh my God, here's the next level of things. Here's something that's going to change the landscape of pinball. And I think that for any of us, if we wind up looking for that, something that is going to be transcendent. And let's go back to the mid-1970s and Bally really being the first company to change over from electromechanics to solid state. That was something that was really unique. Steve Ritchie doing double level playfield on the first Black Knight. That was unique. The question is, can any of it stand the test of time and really make a difference? I think the one thing, just as a comment, I think the one difference that has come out probably from Jack and some of the others is the fact that Stern Pinball is now incorporating an LCD. So that's kind of cool. Hopefully it doesn't interfere with people keeping their eye on the ball, where you have to look up, down, or whatever else. But no, I mean, it's nice to see everything is healthy. It is wonderful, and Ellen, my wife, is in the audience of being able to walk in the game room area after she had done very nicely in the women's competition, I have to say. But just getting a chance, and you said you saw my name or whatever else, I think of it as seeing old friends and walking around and saying, oh, here, let's go play police force. And this is what you have to do. And let's go play this one and that one. So to me, it's kind of a chance to see, again, old friends, and hopefully whenever I step in front of them, they're playing halfway decently. So.
Yeah, fantastic. Well,
was there, I'll throw it back to you. Was there anything that shook you?
Oh, that's a good question. I didn't even think about it.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I like the...
Because then I'm going to ask the audience, so get ready.
Oh, that's great. I like Al's Bride of Pinbot 2.0. Like Bride of Pinbot is like one of my favorite games.
Okay.
And it's kind of neat to see like what's, I guess what they did with it. I thought that was kind of neat. I really like Dialed In. I thought was really, really cool. Like, and the whole selfie mode or whatever. Of course, you just have to make faces and stuff when it does that. That kind of blew my mind as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are some intricate facets of the various games of what people are doing. And again, a lot of the homebrew, the one-offs that you wind up seeing, it shows, I know Buffy the Vampire Slayer, that was a remake of Swords of Fury. For those, and I don't think it's on the floor here, the Johnny Mnemonic remake that was Matrix. So those things exist. I think that Pinball 2000, if it had been allowed to survive, if that might have changed things. No. And I say that not necessarily emphatically. The biggest problem that pinball had and still has is technicians. People who are able to keep games functional. I don't care if it's a monitor, not a monitor, a game that's 20 years old, a game that's 20 minutes old. Businesses out there just are not willing to invest the time and effort necessary to take care of something that, oh my God, will actually appreciate and value. They'll change the oil in their car. They'll check the pressure in their tires. They'll go in for a tune-up because that's their car, but the thing that they're making their living off of. You know, I'll even take it a step further. Do you have any Windex to wipe off the glass in the video game? You know, the joystick's a little bit sticky. When was the last time you ever vacuumed the carpeting or swept the floor? That's the problem that, you know, pinball has now in terms of really getting a hold commercially. You go in because you've gone to an event like this and you're kind of supercharged, you hear about it in the news or something else, and, you know, pinball, and there's barcades now and all these other things. If you go in and you go in front of that pinball machine has lights out, a malfunctioning flipper, something not working, the sound turned down, what's your reaction going to be, young or old? Your reaction is going to be, what's everybody talking about? It's kind of like going to a restaurant that your best friends have told you, this is the best restaurant ever, and the night that you tend to go there was the one night where the head chef was sick, and it's one of the line cooks that pulled everything together, and you talk to your friend saying, are you kidding me? That steak was like a piece of leather. So I think that Pinball 2000 absolutely had all of the ingredients to make it easier for the location owner, street operator, to keep a game functioning. The problem was the laziness of most of these people, many of them being absentee owners, who weren't willing to take the time and the effort. You know, I've stressed over the years when asked the question, for people who are players or collectors or whatever else, you know, go to your local bowling alley or whatever else, tell them you'll put in your own games. You have a collection of, you know, 60 games and, you know, you're only playing 30 at a time, take 3 or 4 out there and, you know, invite friends over, start a league, do some kind of promotion, do a charity benefit thing, you know, raise money for the local school or for the police department. Do something that, you know, has an impact and an influence, more importantly, that shows that location owner that he can take some dead space and turn it into something more, better, and different.